when you did the 7 marathons and 7 continents in 7 days,
Yeah.
was that the hardest thing you've ever done? Because you've done some other crazy shit that I was just looking at, but was that when you look at the races and the things that you've done, was that the hardest either mentally or physically?
I think to be honest, it's always like the last race was the hardest thing you've ever done. Because sometimes like you almost forget about the other shit sometimes. So like, you're in the moment, you're like, this sucked. Antarctica was really hard. Because it was -20 and you had the 50, 60 mile per hour gale force winds and running, a square. That was really hard. And I had frostbite on two fingers and a toe, 2 toes and a finger rather.
Jesus.
And that was really brutal. And that was painful in a different way. It's hard, but it's all hard. It's just, it's hard to answer because like one thing, I thought that was really hard, but then we went to Fortaleza and Fortaleza was like 100 degrees and over, 100% humidity. And we were running at noon with no shade. So that was like a different kind of hard. And I thought Antarctica was tough until I went to Fortaleza. So it's hard to say.
Well, what do you constitute as hard though? You see, I was just thinking about it. As you're talking, it's like, what do you constitute as something that's hard or difficult? It could be, that's the heaviest weight I've ever lifted, or it could be whatever. I guess if you like, for me, running into cold or being like that really hurts my chest.
How long are you running in the cold?
Yeah, like 20.
What is the distance you're running?
In Antarctica, it took me about 7 hours to run that marathon. And there was no
It's a full marathon.
Yep, full marathon.
She did 7 marathons on 7 continents in 7 days. That's a fucking bananas.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That's crazy. Yeah, but you go for these temperature things. I mean, but see, what do you constitute as hard? So, like for me, running into cold, like I switched to treadmills like come December because I can't. Like it just hurts my chest.
Well, whatever's hard is whatever you think you cannot do, and you achieve it. That's what hard is.
Right.
That's the definition. Is I thought I would never ever run a 5K, and I ran 100 of them. Because I just I got to do another one. Maybe I just missing something. What am I missing here? And I kept on doing and doing. And eventually they're like, people, I did it for 2 years until COVID happened, until they made us socially distance outside, all bundled up in the winter, 6 feet away from each other. I'm like, you know what? I can't do this. This is just stupid. I can't be subject to that. I have to just stay home. I can't.
I had COVID. I know, Keri, I saw you posted, you had it as well too.
Bad.
You had it pretty bad, but I think maybe asthma played a part in that as well.
Yeah, I had pretty bad asthma. So definitely when I got hit with it, I was sick for almost a month. It was bad because I get pneumonia easily, and I've been hospitalized in the past for pneumonia. And people are always like, well, how do you do these crazy things? And I think running has really actually helped my asthma and helped to make my lungs stronger. So I'm not as sick, and I haven't been hospitalized in a long time for that.
Thank God.
COVID was close, but knock on wood. But it's something I definitely have to keep an eye on. But I think Rob's right. I think anything that's hard is anything that you don't think you can do in the moment, it's overcoming. Because recently I did an Ironman in California, and it was super windy. I fell off my bike. I got into a bike crash, and I ended up like in a ditch, climbing my way out of. And my leg is gushing blood. And I get to it was mile 107. So an Ironman bike ride is 112 miles. So I had to get back on the bike in the wind with these huge gusts, getting back to the transition area. And I remember seeing my husband on the run. And he looks at me, he's like, what the fuck happened to you? And I'm just like bleeding. And I'm like, I fell off my bike. I got into a crash. It's fine, But I didn't want to finish that race. I was like, I hate this. I don't want to be here. I'm miserable.
Okay. So it's normal. Really it's normal to say that. It's normal to say that.
Oh my God,
while you're
totally.
Running. Okay, good. Because you would know if it's normal or not. Okay.
Keri, why did you pick California though? See, when I saw that, I saw you did an Ironman in Sacramento. I'm like, there's an Ironman in Atlantic City. What made you pick Sacramento versus a local one?
So, the Atlantic City one is a 70.3, so technically it's a half Ironman.
It's a half Ironman?
Half Ironman. So I actually like climbing hills, but I'm not a very good descender on the bike. And last year I did Maryland, and Maryland is flat and fast. And I ended up with like a 12:30 race. And my goal was to break 12 hours, but I hated Maryland because they had jellyfish in the water and they kept stinging you. And I ended up with like half my face swelled up from the stings that I was getting from the jellyfish. So I was like, I don't really want to do that one again. I'll try another one. So California was advertised as flat and fast.
Okay.
And I was like, this is the race. I'm going to break 12 hours. I'm going to go out there. And I'd been busting my balls, training really hard. And I was like, Mother Nature had other plans. And the course itself was a lot different than I thought. I like to travel. I like to see new areas. I like to try new things. I have friends out in California that I met in the World Marathon Challenge. And, after we went to Tahoe and hiked, and that was really fun. I never been to Lake Tahoe.
Cool.
So it was I like these adventure and travel. So, but it was a bitch. And definitely during that run, my husband's like, don't give up. And I'm like, I'm not giving up. I'm not a quitter. I'm like, if I decide,
are you kidding me? I'm giving up. I drove 100 miles already. What the fuck?
Yeah, I only had 26 miles, but it was really kind of, I was planning on having a 4:30 hour, 4 hour, 30-minute marathon. I ended up with like 5 hours and 30 minutes. And there was a point where like, you should be at the halfway point and you're just like, why am I not there yet? And you're just kind of grinding away. I'm good at grinding. I'm a grinder. I can put my head down and I can just grind through it. It sucked. And honestly, it's funny because that race during the run, I had, written an email. So what do you think about, Rob? I was thinking about how I was going to quit the sport of triathlon and never do another one. I was going to write my coach and be like,
you were doing your retirement. You were doing your retirement speech during retirement.
I like to thank my fans. I like to thank whatever. I'm never fucking doing this again.
Hereby retire from the sport.
I do that every day at work, actually, now that I think about it. I quit my own company every day, and I wake up the next morning and I do it again.
You do it again.
I was wondering why you picked Sacramento, because I'm like, the physical challenge of the time change, you got to get there. You're not in your own bed. You know what I mean? Like you start to kind of like you feel that. So when I wrote Ironman, this is my notes for this. I wrote Ironman in Sacramento. Why there? I wrote down how long the Ironman is. And then I wrote down this, which let's see what your thoughts are on this.
Okay.
Would you ever do the Norseman Triathlon?
That's funny that you asked that, because one of the girls.
What is that? What is that? I need to know what that is.
It's fucked up. Keri will tell you.
Go ahead. We need to know. Everyone.
Do you have the exact things on there? Because I've heard of it. I mean, like, I only heard about it recently. It's really hard to get into. And this woman that I met from Canada, we did Virginia together, half Ironman Virginia. She did it, and it's like, isn't it? It's like a cold swim, and it's just even more ridiculous.
It's in
it's a cold swim, so it's not good enough just to swim in water.
Yeah.
It needs to be cold, filled with jellyfish.
Yeah.
No, this is like in Sweden, and like you have to swim in like a fjord or something like that, and you have to. I don't touch the laptop here, because if I might like kick you out, and then it'll be the end of the fucking podcast.
He can't kick you out. It's just him being lazy. It's okay. It's just him being lazy.
Rob's an expert. Rob can pull up the Norseman Triathlon. But the crazy part about it is you could jump off the back of a fucking boat into the water, and it's like. And so I'm looking at like Sacramento when I was doing my research, and what came up underneath it was the Norseman Triathlon. And I'm like, this is right up Keri's alley. I got to ask her about it. This is like, sounds like it's insane. I think there's only 1,000 people, right?
Yeah, it's limited. There you go. Yeah, I was just pulling it up on my phone too.
They make it look nice, but this is some bullshit.
No, it's supposed to be really,
all right,
really challenging.
Let's see what this is here. Hold on. Let's see what this is.
I think, Keri,
hundreds of people have experienced Mercer County's #1.
Well, I like this guy. I don't go to him, but
I want to give you free. I'm giving out 50 free gift cards. Okay,
I go to Paragon.
Here we go.
Like
here we go.
They stretch you out nice.
This is what Ray wants you to do.
I'm not doing it. I want Keri to do it.
That's what I said.
My friend Julie, I believe, is narrating this. Good girl.
I think this is a trip for Keri and her husband to take. That's what I think. And then she can come back on the podcast and tell us about it.
This is not for you.
Hell no.
Yeah, look at that shit.
But it's not. This is for people with fight.
Oh, shit.
Resilience. And minds tougher than their bodies. They're not interested in being the best. All they care about is besting themselves.
For sure.
That's a good line.
That is a good line.
No hand-holding.
Love that.
No sugarcoating. They're in pursuit of something bigger. Their team behind them, a smile on their face. If that sounds good, then maybe we were wrong about you.
It's unforgiving.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Look, you gotta jump off that fucking boat.
That
It's
is
it's
crazy
unforgiving. And I think that's why this is so hard. There's probably crazy altitude changes.
Oh, yeah.
There's
In the mountains there.
I can't
yeah,
even
it's
imagine what
very
this must be
remote. Like, look at how remote it is too. I mean, if you fall off your bike in Maryland, chances are you may either get mugged or they might steal your bike. But here it looks like you could fall off your
Wow.
bike and there might not be anyone that's like coming over for like maybe a half an hour. I don't know. Like but I made me think of you. I was like, I think I should nominate Keri for the Norseman Triathlon.
It's hard to get into. They just had the lottery. Actually, to be honest, that the woman I was saying, Julie, she's the one narrating it. She did it last year. She's going to do it this year. I thought about it, but I decided that not that I'm not done with triathlon. I want to get some more 100 milers. So my focus is going to be more on ultra running, I think, after Ultraman, which is a 3-day kind of triathlon in March. So I think next year my focus is going to be on ultra running. And then maybe I'll go back and do some of that. It's very enticing. And when you watch that video, it gives you like all the feels and you're like, holy shit, I want to do that. Cause I like that. But it's also, I think I'm too fresh out of California, and California was so bad.
Right.
That I'm just like, oh my God, I have like some PTSD from that, to be honest. It was tough.
You need
but
to get some success at another event, and then you're like, fuck it, I'm going to
Yeah, I'm
Sweden
going for
or
a haul.
whatever. Yeah, I'm going there.